It is a mixed bag day. We got the CPI out of the way. It came in exactly where you would expect, 2.6%. That is supposedly our inflation rate, tee. And the market celebrated that for a little while, but then it's getting kind of raspy, as I like to say. It's a great day for these positions. These are all short. I'm having a fantastic day, even though the ES is up and the NQ is up right now. Doesn't matter. These picks are doing super. And we are at sky-high prices right now. Why are we at sky-high prices? Well, because a politician made a lot of promises. And the fact people are basing their buying on that delights me to no end, because they are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So we've just been hanging out here ever since the big event last week. The spider is up just a skosh, as we like to say. But it doesn't matter. There is so much rot under the surface, and I'm trying to find that rot for you and for me. And it's working out all right so far. The cubes are also up just a itty bitty bit. Again, skosh. Past 4 days have done nothing. If you look at an ES or NQ chart for the past 4 or 5 days, it's like just a flat line. It's going nowhere. And so to me, this is a dynamite environment for shorting. The VIX is like at 0. Everyone's bid prices took like a 3,000 PE across the board. And it's starting to go sputter, sputter, sputter. So it is an opportunity-rich environment, I would say. We're continuing to see outside the U.S. disintegrate. Emerging markets are down again. You can see here for weeks now. It's just been stumbling. Look at Mexico, for example, EWW. You'll see some severe diminishment there. And our old friend Brazil continuing to hammer out the head and shoulders pattern that you and I have been following for weeks. It could take weeks more to finish it, if it finishes at all. But we are getting there. And if we get there, it is a honey of a pattern. So I'm in position for that on Brazil. And I don't trade France, but F40, I don't know if you say CAC 40 or CAC 40, but whatever you say. It'll be like in the old IBM days where somebody says DOS, that marks them as a rube. But I'll be a rube on French equities. It's all right. They're falling. And that pattern is quite complete. So that's rocking and rolling too. So all kinds of interesting stuff going on with the bifurcation of U.S. markets versus the outside world. We're way from the thick of earnings season. It's just like a little bit here, a little bit there. Alibaba is going to come out with earnings tomorrow morning. If I just close my eyes to everything else going around, it seems that this should be a pretty good support point because we've got a nice base here. It's fallen a lot. And if it finds stability here, post-earnings, that's pretty cool, especially as battered as Chinese stocks have gotten. I have no position in this myself, nor do I intend to. But, if forced to say bullish or bearish, I guess bullish, because that's a nice base and it has fallen quite a lot from that pop that it had. So not putting my money where my mouth is on that one. Another interesting critter is Cava. Now, this is a restaurant chain, some compared to Chipotle, even though it's more Mediterranean fare. I've never been. I've seen their menu. It looks really tasty, but we don't have any around here. And it's doing sensationally well. And the stock has just blasted higher. Just over the past year, it's gone up from around 34 to 150 or so. The one little twist here, because they came out with earnings and they exploded last night, very, very high, but they've been falling all day long. So whatever poor souls bought up here like at 170 are not liking Cava very much because it's already lost over $20 from there. So the good news is that it's up. The good news is that it was lifetime highs. The not so good news is that this is the biggest, reddest candle in their whole history. So basically any new buyers that just couldn't stand watching this thing go up anymore and got in finally aren't very happy with it. A couple of breakouts here to follow up on. One is the Honest Corporation. I think they're called HNST. This is popping higher off of that base. And a newer one, Warby Parker, escaped its own basing pattern a few days ago, so that's doing nicely as well. Huntsman, this is one of my, what have I got, 16, 17 positions right now. This is looking good. It's a slow mover. It'll take some time, but I still like the looks of this. Lumen, which just a few days ago, the bulls were high-fiving each other about, and that seems to have pooped out right along here. We've got a couple of nice slips here, and this is a tremendous topping pattern, absolutely gargantuan. You can see what an explosive move this had from just about penny stock land up to almost double digits, about a 900% gain in a very short amount of time. So that's burning off some. I don't know if I mentioned this one, wing stop, symbol wing. Very cool top on this one. Not quite a gap fill. I've anchored this to yesterday's high, but it's a very pretty pattern. We've done some damage to this trend line. So this looks like as good or even better of a setup as we had back here for Wingstop. And then our old friend CC down a little bit. Once again, a very, very large topping pattern on that. So as I say, I've got like 17 different positions, and almost all of them are down today. God bless them. Even though the market, is up a skosh. Yes, there's that skosh again. My mother's influence. Semiconductors continue to be weak. AMD is, I think I saw they're laying off thousands of people. We are at the cusp of a potential trend line break here. That blue line, we are so close to breaking that sucker. That's been in place since 2016. That is a big trend line. We've also got, what would bother me of note? I don't know. SMH, I don't want to be rude. I'm not looking at my watch because I'm not interested in you. It's just because I want to make sure that I don't get a message like they can't hear you. Hopefully you can. Here's SMH, the semiconductor ETF. I wouldn't say this is at the cusp, but it's within spitting distance, if we're going to get technical, of that trend line as well. So I continue to hold puts on this. And it's interesting too, because if you look at SOXX, which is the leveraged bearish fund on semiconductors, and you think about the blast we've had following the election, but look at what's done in here. Up, 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 up. 4 nice days in a row of the bearish fund in this environment going up against semiconductors. So that's pretty cool too. You've probably heard chapter 15 of SMCI. They're down about 84% from March, where they were welcomed into the hallowed halls of the S&P 500. There's chatter of delisting at this point. Quite a fall from grace. Interest-sensitive stuff, might as well, because we had the CPI come out. XLU slipping a little bit, looking weak there. I've got a position in EE on that. As I predicted / guessed yesterday, TLT down. We've reviewed this. We look to this blue line as resistance. We look at this red line as support, and we've been banging around here for weeks now. And on the heels of this ostensibly positive CPI, which magically is exactly the figure they said would come out, and we're supposed to believe that inflation is just a couple of % a year. It's got to wipe out this is just a bad day technically, isn't it? We're getting a wipe out there in bond land too. In turn, real estate stuff, home building, real estate, what have you, is also weakening. So I continue to hold puts in DHI. Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin again. Lifetime high. And thank you, printer. Almost $94,000 on Bitcoin. Eased back somewhat. We're at $90,500 right now. Of course, everyone's talking about 6 figures, $100,000. If we get there, there'll be headlines all over the place. That's humans love big round numbers. 100,000 is a big round number that would get a lot of celebration. On the other hand, while digital stuff is flying higher, poor old precious metals, they just cannot get any love. Miners falling again, just tumble for weeks now. GLD itself, that is gold, falling another 1%. Let's look to this upper portion of this channel for potential support. I'm really starting to lose faith in the short-term prospects of these, which is why I kind of threw my hands up yesterday. PSLV, getting dangerously close to what I consider an important support level here as well. I have no positions in precious metals. I kept grabbing the handle of that frying pan for the past week or so. Yesterday, I finally just said, forget it. And I'm going to stay in forget it mode until I see some real signs of stability. I'll just jump to the last symbol. The last point I want to make is the VIX. This is volatility. This is a cool one. Here we have it. Past August, September, October, and into November. So over 3 months now. Pretty much a high around 24, pretty much a low is around 14. Down and up, down and up, down and down. So we're near the bottom of this range now. My point being, that as optimistic as things are, as giddy as everyone is, as furiously as they're buying stuff hand over fist, to my eyes, it's contrarian in me. That's why I'm feeling very comfortable now, but getting more aggressively bearish because the VIX is so low, almost sub-teens. So